Hello, my name is Matt Bird, and welcome to the PublishU Podcast, where we explore the real life stories of authors from around the world. Today, I'm joined by Kate Solanki from Somerset in the United Kingdom, who has written a book called Granny's Wedding. Kate, you're welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So, tell us about life in Somerset. What is it you do?
I am a mum, a wife, although my boys are now grown up and flown the nest, but they do visit quite frequently. They call this place the Shire. It's like coming to the Hobbit house. Um, I'm I do a lot of youth work still. I have been involved in youth work in Taunton for 25 years.
Wow.
And it's changed over the years. We now have moved out of the churches, and we work on the streets in the poorer areas of town. We have a transit van that we've decked out with flat screen TVs and Xboxes, and we just let the kids who are hurting know that they're seen and they're cared for.
Wow. Amazing. What a great work. And so you've been doing that for 25 years and it's really evolved
Yeah,
from
so
based in buildings coming and see us to actually getting out there in the neighborhood and being on streets.
yeah,
Yeah, beautiful. And would you say there's any difference in young people's needs today compared to 20 years ago?
vastly, vastly. And I don't think we can blame it all on COVID. I know there was a hiatus there when they weren't able to socialize as they would normally, but the kids' coping mechanisms seem to be vastly diminished
Yeah.
compared to what they were. And so many of the secondary schools now have huge welfare units within them. Um, and that's just to facilitate the kids' um, needs prior to being able to teach them anything.
Mm, wow. Um, Before you teach them anything, I mean, tell me more. I'm intrigued.
Okay, well, they need to feel they belong.
Yeah.
We say belong, believe, behave. So we don't go out. It does say Youth for Christ on the side of our van. They know who we are, they know what we believe in, but we just go out there and we play Uno, we play football. Well, I don't play football. We give out copious gallons of hot chocolate with all the trimmings on it from the van. We have deck chairs outside the van and they come and they sit. And if they need to talk, if they need to share, they do. They see us. They call us the van fam. We're a safe place because so many of their homes aren't safe, and their lives are chaotic. And yeah, they come, and when we drive down the road, they know where we're going to be in certain days of the week, and they cheer as the van comes. It's like, this is a safe place. These are safe people. And as we get to know them, they know who we are. They know that we have a faith, and we don't ever push our faith, but they know that it's there if they want to talk about it. Some do, some don't, but we love them all.
Amazing. Really great. And so, Kate, you've written a book called Granny's Wedding. I mean, when did you first think about writing a book?
Back in 2007, I was over in the States, and some very prophetic person came over to me and said, "You will write a book one day." And I laughed because I'm not even very good at journaling. Um, there are huge gaps in my journals. But over the years, it, occasionally somebody would drop that in and say, "Have you ever thought about writing a book?" It's like, no. I always say that I grew up in South Wales and I learned to speak English in Welsh, so my English is not brilliant, and I but there was something inside, and I've sat down over the years a few times with my fingers poised to type at my laptop, and I've nothing. There was just nothing. I knew the story I wanted to tell. I just didn't know how to go about it.
Yeah.
And then about 4 years ago, I was sat with a group of people and we were just doing this exercise, and we had to write a couple of lines about ourselves. And when I wrote, we had to read them out, and I read mine out, and the person who was leading the session said, "You remind me of a children's author. The way you write reminds me of the children's author." And the penny dropped that day, and I thought, I've been thinking to write for adults, but actually it's a children's story I need to write. And from there, it just sort of went bloop.
There we go. So tell us, what's Granny's wedding about? It's a children's story, but what's the story?
The story is the dialogue between a grandmother and a granddaughter, although grandpa does pop in occasionally.
Yeah,
And it's
good.
aimed it's aimed at sort of 8 to 11-year-olds.
Yeah,
Their relationship is very good. And the little girl starts to ask Granny about her wedding day and the preparation for her wedding day. And as Granny unfolds the story, she brings in her journey with Jesus.
yeah,
And she explains through the preparation process of her wedding who Jesus has become to her.
yeah,
We know that the Bible, or Jesus told us, that the first and second commandment were to love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, soul, and then to love others as yourself. And in order to for a bride to love freely, she needs to know that she is loved and safe.
yeah.
And the grandma explains that as she walked through her life and trusted Jesus to a greater degree, she allowed more of him in, and her trust grew, and then he was able to work through her to a greater degree. And that now that she's older and not looking to die, but heaven is getting closer, that fear is taken away as she anticipates eternity. I mean,
Amazing.
the Bible starts with a wedding and it finishes with a wedding. And in Revelation 19:7, it reads, "And the bride made herself ready." So that's the sort of verse that I hung it on.
Yeah.
We have, yeah, it's our privilege to walk and make ourselves ready.
Mm. Wow. And although it's a fiction, there must be many conversations that you've taken from your youth work and weaved into
Yeah,
this conversation between a grandmother and granddaughter.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not a granny yet, soon, but not yet. But I know lots of people who are, and you pick up threads, don't you, from people's lives, and you think, oh, I'll put that in my
Yeah.
back
Yeah.
pocket and use that at some point. And in
Yeah.
fact, since I've taken this seriously and started writing, I find that I'm collecting things all the time now
Mm.
from just life.
Yeah. Amazing. And what is when you were writing this book, what was the most difficult obstacle you faced?
Having the courage to show it to somebody else.
Really?
Yeah.
And who was the first person you showed your book to?
Actually, my youth worker, I said to her, can I just read you something? So I gave her a cup of tea, sat her down and said, just listen to this. And I read a chapter and she said, read another one. And I did. And yeah, it made her quite emotional. So I thought, okay, perhaps it's not as bad as I thought it was.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Perhaps it was actually very good, Kate.
Well, maybe, hope so.
So, now your book is published and it's available worldwide. I mean, anybody listening to this can go online now and buy your book. How does that make you feel? What emotions are you filled with as you think, wow, this story that I was first hesitant, this book I was first hesitant to show anybody, is now available worldwide. What runs through you?
When I received the editorial review, I was overwhelmed and just blown away by what she said. Um, I was excited, pleased to think that there was some fruit coming out of, what I'd done. But within that, um, is terrifying as well to be exposed to that degree, because I'm sure anybody that writes a song or poem or anything, you're giving part of you away, aren't you? And it's becoming public. And I'm more of a backroom girl than a front of state house, and I had to allow myself to be out there.
Yeah, yeah. But how does it feel now the book is published and available?
I'm excited to see how I'm excited to see how it impacts the lives of those who read it.
Mm.
It's a good feeling. It's a really good feeling.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And it actually inspires you to do it again.
Yeah. And how do you hope that your book will impact the people that read it?
I hope, because I work with teenagers and I see the damage in their lives, done by other people, but also done by the way they see themselves in the world, and the influence that social media and all of that has on them, and their quest for perfection. I want them to know that actually they stand before an audience of one, and all he wants is their heart, and he wants them to feel safe and to feel loved. There's a verse in the Song of Songs in chapter 4, and Jesus is talking to his bride, and he says, "You're beautiful." And I want them to feel beautiful. I want them to feel that they can go out into the world with him and achieve whatever he calls them to do, and not feel less than.
Mm.
And I think, because I could have written it and pitched it to an older age group, but I think because children are growing up so fast these days, I think we need it to be for the little ones before the concrete sets. Yeah.
Wow. Before the concrete sets. I think that's a great place to finish, Kate. Thank you so much for joining us. And thank you all for listening to the PublishU podcast, where we explore the real life stories of authors from around the world. And if you're interested in becoming an author like Kate, please do reach out to us at PublishU.com, www.publish.com. We would love to speak with you and help you. And if you enjoyed this podcast, please make sure you follow so that you can enjoy some more. Thank you so much for joining us, and goodbye for now.